Welcome back. Yesterday we have learned the four basic data types, which are integer, float, boolean, and string. Today we are going to learn four compound data types, which are tuple, list, dictionary, and set. All right. What do we mean by compound data types? Compound data type is basically you can combine various data types together in one variable. Right? Let's start with tuple. Tuples are usually right with the round bracket. Okay, it's declared with the round bracket, and then every element between the elements you can put a comma inside. All right. For instance, com variable COMVAR contains three elements. The first element is a string, and second and third elements are integers. So, like string, since it contains more than one element in your variables, you can use the indexing to access particular elements. Com variable 0 will give you mu, com variable 2 will give you 5. So you can access using either by positive indexing or negative indexing like a string data. In the tuple, the element itself can be another tuple, right? For example, in the given nested tuple variable, second element and third element are tuple itself, right? So if we want to access this element with the inside another tuple, you can use the double indexing, right? For instance, nested tuple of 0 will give you mu. It's located at the first element. All right, and then nested tuple 1 of 0, you can see that there are two square brackets here. One refer to the first index. All right, so 1 is located age and 32. Inside this tuple, you have two elements. So the first element is age, the second element is 32. So nested tuple 1, 0 will give you age. All right, and similarly, nested tuple 2, 1 will give you 5. So this is called nested tuple indexes. Like string data type, you can also concatenate the tuple. Right? For you to concatenate two tuples together, you can use a plus sign like string. Okay. Now let's go and touch more methods for tuple. Right? To check the number of elements in the tuple, you can again use len and len function. And len is used for all the variable types. Right? And to find the location of the element in the tuple, you can use an index method. Okay. Please take note that tuples are immutable. We cannot directly replace by indexing like string. Right? In the string, you can replace directly by using the indexing, but here we cannot. Right? So, for example, if you go and write new variable bracket 0 and you go and check the values, it will not work. This you have to be careful. Right? Now, let's move on to the next compound type, which is list. Okay, list is written with the square bracket. Like string or tuple, elements are separated by commas. All right. So list variable contains three elements. The first one is a string. Second and third are integer. So same way, for the indexing, you can use the indexing, index slicing, index writing to access the element from the list variable. Okay. List variable 0 is to 2 will give you first element and second element. Remember, the last index is the ending index is always plus 1 by the last index. All right. Or if you can use a negative index, list variable -1 will give you 5. Okay. So the same way list can be concatenated, all right, using the plus sign. But a list has two additional methods, which are extend and append. All right, there are differences between extend and append. You have to be careful. For the extend perform the same way like plus. That means in the second element ls values, second variable ls values, we can see that there are three elements, right? So if you combine this ls header and ls variable, you will have 6 elements in your new ls1. Right? So each element in the second list variable is considered as one element in the new list. However, if you use the append method, all the elements, the whole variables, will be considered as one element in the new list too. All right. So in this example, new ls2 only have 4 elements. Okay, it come up with a nested list, right? So there's the only difference between the list and other data types like tuples and string. Okay. Now let's look at different methods for lists. Right? You can use len to check the number of element in a list. To find the location of the element in a list, you can use an index. Right? But not like tuple, list is mutable. That means you can replace the elements directly. All right. So for example, if I want to replace the variable, the first element, you can just use the positive or negative index of 0 to replace with the new element. All right. Since list is mutable, we have to be careful when we talk about when we copy from one list to another. Now, I want to copy all the elements from the current list variable to a new list. So I use an equal sign. All right. So if I use an equal sign, what happens is both lists are address pointing to the same address. New list and list variable are pointing to the same address in the computer. That's why if you change the one variables, it will change the second variable as well. Second variable, the element in the second variables. All right. So now let's look at the example. It will be easier for you by looking at the examples. Okay. So the first list variable, I have 6 elements. All right. And then I want to copy this element into a new list. So I just use the equal sign to copy from the list variable to new list. Now I have the new list with the 6 elements. All right. I want to change the third element, which is the second index, to status. Instead of height, I want to change it to status. So I use the list indexing to replace directly. All right. New list of 2 equal to status. Then now let's see what happened. All right. In the new list, yes, it changed from the height to status. But it also changed in the original list, which is list variable, and then the second element became a status. Okay? Most of the time, this is not what we want. All right. This is called copy by reference. So it just copy the by referencing. So the whichever new variables, whichever things that you change in the new variables, it will change to the original. Right? So what we have to do, we have to go by copy by values. Then we have to use a method called dot copy. Right? By using the dot copy, it's no longer a pointing to the same address. That's why if you change in the new variable, it will not change in the original one. Okay, let's look at the example again. This time I use a copy method to copy the variables from the elements from the list variable to a new list. Then I change the new list second element into status. All right, but of course the list new list second element has changed to status, but original list has not changed. All right, so you can see the second element is still given as height. Okay. So I think for now you are familiar with 2 compound data types. Next lesson, I'm going to cover the dictionary and set. Before covering dictionary and set, let's do a bit of exercise in these 2 variables as well as the 4 data types that we have learned previously. Thank you. That's all for today.